going to turn this, and I'm going to put this in oil. Okay, so I'm not going to show the turning part because I'm sure you all know what that looks like, and you've seen me turn other things. And so I'm going to put this in oil, and that's going to be. This is where I bought these pipes, these PVC pipes, and I glued one end of the cap, so you can see this blue thing. So what I did was I sanded and roughed this part here, right, the outer surface, and I also roughed the inside of the cap, and I put this glue in and I pressed it for like 30 seconds as the instructions said, and then I let it, let it cure overnight. Well, actually for a 24-hour period. So now I know this, there's not going to be any leakage. So I'm going to put I'm going to put oil in here. So maybe the oil will come about to here. And when I put this inside, the oil is going to rise. Initially, because I said, this was all going to be, the one diameter, and then I was going to, make another one where I was going to make another one of these to where I was going to put as a cap onto it, which is why I bought this cap, because this was just going to sit inside. Now I won't put the cap on, and I'm going to have to put this somewhere safe to where it's not going to tip over and spill the oil everywhere. So I will allow this to soak up the oil, maybe over.
Inshallah,
so I'll allow this to soak in this tube for about a week, or maybe even 3 days or something like that. But a week is good. Now, because this is pine, and it's a low-grade pine too, I actually got this from, those bulky orange 70s type of furniture. I think this was on a stool, I'm not sure. It was off something anyway. And so this is not your high grade pine. I mean, it could be radiata. So the thing is that pine doesn't turn a good screw. Like, it'll chip and break off and stuff like that. And every magazine out there said the same thing. And so what I did, I said, look, I'm going to prove you guys wrong. It's everything can be made to work. Some things are just easier than others. It all comes down to the process. So what I did is that I allowed this to soak in for about a week, and then I turned it. I didn't allow it to dry or anything like that. I just, took it out and I turned it, and I got these beautiful, it was a very nice, crisp screw. It was very, very crisp, and immediately I put it out there. This is what you have to do, but for whatever reason it never gained, the information never went anywhere. So I'm guessing that some people just, don't like to be proven wrong. And I think it's a real shame. So that's it. That's it. I'm done now. There's no more talking. I've said everything I wanted to say. I'll just start boring away. You know what I can do, and it's actually a good practice, especially now that since I've been away for so long. Yeah. I think. So the way I was going then, I'm pretty confident if I continued on, it would come out this way, this side, then in the middle. But I'm not going to press my luck. I also promised to myself that I'm never going to rush again. Nothing is that important. Your health comes first, Stupidity should never, ever be at play. So, chasing your profits and all of that, so you can, earn that hourly income to get that, to lose mobility in this hand. It's just not worth it. So, I did it, man. I can see this is smack on in the middle. This is just like my drill press. Me boring with a drill press. Well, my worst fears came to fruition, and it snapped. So, like I said, this is crap wood, and just snapped. So, looks like I'll be going back to the original plan. Alright folks, I'm going to try and make this a very, very short video, hopefully. So I went and bought a fresh batch of boil linseed oil. Went to Bunnings for this one. I paid about 20 bucks. So they've gone up by $9. Diggers, as you know what the previous label looked like. This one looks much better. So I bought a fresh batch because my other one, was just starting to clump up. I didn't use very much at all, as you can see, and I put the screw in there, and I put a block of wood on top of the screw, and now the whole thing is submerged in the oil, and I'm going to leave it in there for about 3 to 4 days, maybe a week, or until at least the new fish Forstner bit arrives. I bought mine on Amazon. These are made in Austria, and they're extremely sharp. I highly recommend them. They're not cheap, they are expensive, but if you're frustrated with those sawtooth, definitely look at these. They're worth it, and especially if you're using a hand brace. If you don't have a drill press and using a hand brace, you'll thank me, because the level of sharpness is just unbelievable. You just bore through the wood with ease. And I did try and get those sawtooth to be razor-like sharp, because I just thought, that would be the case. But, apparently these guys have been around since forever, and yet they've only just come into the stores now, which is pretty ironic. Okay, so one important thing I want to mention, and this is really important, is you may ask yourself, well, if you can't get hold of BLO, which you should be, but let's say you don't want to, because you've already got mineral oil at home. You make chopping boards and stuff like that, and you go, well, I've got drums of it, and I only need a small amount. I'm going to use that. Well, don't. Because the mineral oil or the paraffin oil, and they're both the same product. It's just named differently. That's all it is. The mineral oil or paraffin oil, it will not dry. So there's no drying agents in it. It'll just stay wet, indefinitely. While this will dry, because it has drying agents in it. So you remember when I was, you probably don't even have that video. when I was coating the wine rack with tung oil, I put terabene in there, and I still allowed 3 weeks between coats to dry, because that's how long oil takes to cure. And I mean, this may dry overnight, but historically speaking, BLO, linseed oil, and even tung oil, and tung oil's, you know, it's not an 18th century product either. It's not fairly recent, but you know, it's probably 100, maybe 150 years. Probably even that's exaggerated. Even that, it still takes 3 weeks to dry. Linseed oil, as old as it is, always takes 3 weeks to cure, and it's not like you see on those. Anyway, I already did an article on this on the blog, so I don't want to repeat myself. If you really want to find out more about it, have a look on the blog, and have a read. So yeah, and when it does cure, the wood, the screw itself, will be so much more stronger than if you were just to use the paraffin oil. So you can use it, it will soften the wood and do all of that stuff, and you'll turn a very nice screw. But you won't get that same level of protection. And with it being soaking in there for 3 to 4 days, it may take even up to a month. It may take a month and a half or 2 months to fully cure. But the thing is, it will cure, and when it does, it will harden, you know, and it will give it protection, while the other won't. So that's all I wanted to say on this. So I'm just going to wait until that porcelain bit arrives, and then I'll make the I'll just finish the rest of it off. And yeah, all right, till then, adios.